One of the oldest team sports in history started by sliding a stone down a frozen lake in Scotland. That's what curling is. But now it's a sheet of ice with two targets on each end. The sheet of ice is 138 feet long, and you try and throw the stones down the sheet and into the middle of the target. That target is called a house, and this is what a sheet of ice looks like. And those stones, they are made of all granite. They're 44 pounds each, and there's 16 stones on each sheet of ice, and so it's 8 for each team. And this is what a stone looks like. So the U.S. men's curling team just won their first ever gold at the Olympics this last winter. Skip John Schuster, this is his 4th Olympics that he's competing in. And their best finish before that was 2006. They got bronze. I grew up around curling. I said that in my last speech. My parents met through it 30 years ago, and so I've been curling for 8 or 10 years. And the U.S. men's team is actually based out of Duluth, Minnesota, which is where I'm from, so I got to grow up around that whole atmosphere, which was awesome. Curling isn't really a well-known sport around the world, especially in America, but it's starting to grow a lot more in different countries and within America. So first I'll discuss the history of the sport and how it became a thing, and then second I will explain what the sport is and the rules of it, or the main rules of it, and lastly I'll talk about some of the equipment that you need. So I'll discuss now where it originated from. The World Curling website says that the first curling club was founded in the 19th century in Scotland, and it was called the Grand Caledonian Curling Club. But then in 1843, the Queen actually liked the sport so much that she gave them permission to rename it the Royal Caledonian Curling Club, and so now that's the governing body of world curling. So it's like the NFL of curling. The sport didn't get recognized until the 1924 Olympics in France, where Great Britain beat Sweden and France, and then it got taken away and then brought back in 1932 in Lake Placid as a demonstration sport. So the U.S. and Canada sent 2 teams, and they just competed against each other, and Canada ended up winning. So curling wasn't really a big hit, so they took it away. So one thing that they thought of was just a tournament outside of the Olympics, and so that is they came up with the Scotch Cup in 1959. So it was a tournament between Scotland and Canada, and so they just sent their best team again and just competed against each other. And so other countries heard about it and they wanted in on it since it wasn't in the Olympics. So this was like their main tournament throughout the year. And so it got up to 8 countries competing for that tournament for each year. So now that I've explained like a little bit of the background, I'll just dive into what the rules are really. So each team has 4 players. The lead throws the first 2 rocks, the second throws the second 2 rocks, the third or the vice skip throws the next 2 rocks, and then the skip throws the last 2 rocks. And the skip is on the other end of the ice from where they're throwing, and he's calling the shots. And he's telling them where to throw it and what to throw. When he's throwing, the vice skip goes and takes his spot. And then so when you're not throwing and when you're not calling the shots, you're sweeping. And sweeping creates friction on the ice. So it melts the ice just a little bit, and it causes the rock to go faster and curl less. So in some situations, you need that to happen. So on the stones, there are 2 different colors. It's normally red and yellow to depict the different teams, so you can pick out which shots are yours and which stones you want to take out and stuff like that. So speaking of takeouts, that's a type of shot. So there's a bunch of different types of shots, but then the main ones are a draw, and that's what it's just a shot into the house. A guard is in front of the house, and it guards the rocks that are inside the house, and a takeout is a shot that takes out the opponent's stone. So lastly, I want to talk about some of the equipment that is used. So when you're sweeping, you use a broom, And this is what a broom today looks like. So it's carbon fiber, it's super light, and this is the pad that you sweep with. And this is also like a kickstand for when you slide out to keep your balance. But when curling first started, they were just corn brooms, so they were just like household brooms, and they just used those. And then they upgraded to horsehair brooms, and now they're at these brooms. Something else are curling shoes. And so you take off the gripper, thick piece of plastic that helps you slide across the ice. And on the other shoe, it's just another gripper on the bottom so you can push off. So this is one of the world's oldest team sports, and it's really starting to grow around the world. Like I said before, it's an easy sport to get involved in because every curling club wants more members. And there's one in Fargo down south by the zoo, so you could easily get involved in that. Most people I've talked to that have tried curling, they absolutely love it, and they want to keep doing that forever. And it's a sport where it doesn't matter how good you are or what age, you can easily play for whenever or whatever club you want to.